All right, we're going to start in bridge pose. Two options with your block. You can either have the block between the knees or the block underneath the head. So we'll lie down. I'm going to do block between the knees and block behind the head. And we're going to push down into the feet. Give your block a little bit of a hug if it's between the knees, and rise up using the glutes into low bridge. Feel your two pelvic points tighten in. We're going to make either fists with our hands or clasp your hands up above your head. Lift your arms up any amount into shoulder flexion without your ribs popping up. And we're just going to do a little shimmy side to side. Starting to shimmy the ribs right and left, but holding the pelvis still, holding the hips still. So we're getting this little bit of lateral flexion in the mid and upper back, awakening those side body muscles as we hold our bridge. Pressing into the feet. Keep drawing those pelvic points in. And then hands can come back down to your sides. Take an exhale as you slowly lower down one vertebra at a time. And if you have the block between your legs, we're going to take it out for our core work. Hands behind the head, or you're welcome to keep the block behind your head if you'd like. Big breath in. Feel your torso get wider as you inhale. Exhale. Lift off the shoulder blades without pulling on the head or neck. Tighten those pelvic points in toward each other. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift up, not pulling on the head. Pelvic points draw in. Inhale and lower. Exhale, lift up. This time we're going to extend the left leg straight or straightish, kind of in line with that right knee, and adduct it over to the right. So it's going to cross over the midline of the body, but keep that sacrum down. Bring it back to center, lower that left foot. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Keep that sacrum down, extend the right leg straight or straightish. Right leg crosses over to the left, adducting across the body. Bring it back. Foot comes down. Inhale and lower. Exhale, lift. Pelvic points tighten in. Left leg extends. Now we're going to flex that left foot and adduct it across. Maybe you feel a line of pull on the outer left hip or outer left leg. Bring it back. Foot comes down. Inhale, lower. Last time, exhale, lift. Cinch those pelvic points in. Right leg extends. Let's flex the right foot. Adduct the leg across the body, keeping the sacrum down. Leg comes back to center. Foot lowers. Inhale and lower. Let's move the block aside. You can hug your knees in, take a couple rocks side to side or up and down, and we will make our way to quadruped. So coming to hands and knees, we're going to be doing some lateral flexion here. So you're welcome to be on fists or hands. We'll slide the left toes back into three-legged quadruped. Hold that right hip still, so right hip is directly over that right knee. We're going to slide the left toes to the right, hip adduction, just like we did on our backs. And then reach your left fingertips forward. So our fingertips are reaching to the front of the mat. And we're going to stay here, drawing the pelvic points in, side bending the upper body. So our fingertips are going to reach over to the right, just like the toes, and then back to the center. Fingertips reach to the right, holding this side bend, and then back to center. Two more times. Fingertips reach to the right, toward the corner, and back to center. One more time. Fingertips reach to the right, hold that right hip strong. Bring it back under the shoulder. Left knee comes back in for quadruped. Right toes back. Hold the left hip still, left hip over the left knee. We cross the right toes over to the left, hip adduction. Left hip stays stable. We reach right fingertips forward. Now we side bend the upper body. Reach your fingertips toward the left corner. And then back in front. Reach your fingertips toward the left, getting this side seam stretch. And back 2 more times. Reach your fingers toward the left corner, stretching the right side of the body. Last time, reach your fingertips left. Good, and bring it back to quadruped. Take a little cat-cow, mobilizing the spine, forward and back, extension and flexion. Now from cat-cow, you have the option to take down dog or dolphin. We're gonna swivel in either option. So if you're coming to down dog, press into the fingers, tuck the toes, hike the pelvis up, and walk the feet in even a little bit closer into that really shortened triangle. If you wanna come onto the forearms, same thing, knees in nice and tight. Tuck the toes, lift the thigh bones up. Knees are gonna stay nice and bent, heels very lifted. So we can swivel the lower body. Knees and toes swivel to the right. And then knees and toes swivel left. So keep the shoulders still. We're not turning the upper body. Shoulders and arms stay stable and strong. The front ribs lift up toward the body. We're just swiveling down below to get this side body stretch. If you're in dolphin, you can lower the knees, tuck the toes, down dog. We'll all meet in down dog and walk the hands back toward the feet, lowering the heels, belly toward the thighs. Press the ground away and we'll rise up. Good, feel that length in the spine. We're gonna stagger walk with a little side bend. So our right foot steps forward, left arm up, right arm down, side bend, ribs arc up and over. Stretching the left side, come up, left foot stagger walks forward, right arm up. Keep those ribs stacked over the pelvis as we side bend. So today we're going to be working on lots of ways to stretch the side seam of the body, all those side body muscles, getting more space between the side of the rib and the side of the pelvis. All right, when we get to the front, you might want to have some blocks nearby, 1 or 2 blocks, and we're going to start our sequence. So we'll reach the arms up, reach up through the pinkies, get more space there between the ribs and the pelvis. Hinge forward, right foot steps back, we land the knee, but keep the toes tucked. Rise up into our 90-90, right glute is firm, we're zippering pubic bone to the belly. Just like we did in bridge, clasp the hands in front of you. Lift up overhead any amount without arching the back or popping the ribs. So spine stays neutral. Lift those armpits up and we're going to do that little shimmy. That little side bend both ways. But we're just trying to move the ribs. So try not to let the hips move side to side. Hold really steady. Bring your hands to the ground or to a block or 2 for a moment as we hinge forward. We're going to externally rotate this left hip. So our left toes are going to turn out a little bit. And we'll come to this externally rotated modified twisted crescent. So our ribs turn left. Left arm can reach up or even up and over into this bigger pull and stretch for the left side body. And because we've externally rotated the left hip, you might also get a stretch on the outer left hip as well. And you can backstroke that left arm, bring that foot back to parallel, rise up off that right knee, turn to the right side of the mat. Externally rotate both hips. We draw those pelvic points in, arms reach out to the sides. We're going to do those rib shifts right and left. So now we're trying to get this movement here in this lower chunk of the side body, right in between the pelvis and the ribs. Cinching those pelvic points in. Let's turn to the back of the mat for quadruped. We're going to do that reset move. Right toes back. Slide your right toes over to the left. Hip adduction. Right fingertips reach forward. And we arc up and over to the left. We're just gonna hold here this time in the side body stretch for the right side. Think about the ribs lifting up. Hand under the shoulder. Now slide your right toes over to the right and plant that right foot down. Take a couple adductor rocks forward and back. Long spine. Now shoulders over your wrist in that starting position. Walk your hands or your fingertips to the right, toward the right corner, right side of the mat, right foot, and sit back into that left hip as much as it feels good. Keep picking up through the front ribs so we're not arching the back. Big stretch for that left side body and the right inner thigh. Walk the hands back under the shoulders. Come to quadruped and let's take a couple belly rolls, both directions, trying to free up the side body, the space between the ribs and the pelvis. Tuck the toes, down dog. Lift those thigh bones up, press into the fingers, lift the ribs up. We're gonna walk the hands back toward the feet. Happy squat. And we'll come into a cross ankle forward fold. So you're gonna lift your heels, do a little pivot to the front of the mat. Blocks, or a block is great here in this cross-legged forward fold. And we're just gonna shimmy here. Let the hips kind of swing side to side. Let the upper back side bend. We'll uncross the feet, rise up and do the second side. Reach up through your pinkies. The armpits lift, we hinge forward. Left foot steps back. Lower the knee, but keep the toes tucked under. Rise up, we want that imaginary broom behind our back. Clasp your fingers in front. Lift up overhead without arching the back. Lift the armpits up, 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 and we add that little shimmy side to side. Stretching the side body, but I want you to keep that left glute so firm so that that left hip doesn't pop or sink over to the left. It stays right over that left knee. Hands come to your block or blocks. Externally rotate the right foot and right hip. Whatever amount feels good, we turn the ribs. Right arm can reach up or up and over for a bigger pull on that right side body. Think about that right hip crease really moving back toward the back of the mat. Let's backstroke this right arm. Lift off that left knee. Turn to the left, hips externally rotate, goddess squat. Zipper the pubic bone to the belly, arms reach out, we shift the ribs side to side. Now we're gonna try our best to hold the pelvis and the hips still, so not swinging the hips side to side, but just this lateral shift of the rib cage. Toward the right knee, toward the left knee. Turn to the back of the mat for quadruped. Now we do left toes behind. Slide the left toes over to the right, hip adduction. Left fingers reach forward. And then we side bend the upper body to the right, staying here, lifting the front ribs away from the ground, really breathing into that left side. Hand back under the shoulder. Now we slide left toes all the way to the left. Adductor rocks, forward and back. Couple times here, long in the low back, long through the sides of the body. And then walk your hands any amount to the left. Maybe it's to the corner, to the side, toward the foot. Sitting back into that right hip crease, any amount. Not sinking into the shoulders, but almost lifting away from the ground. Walk it back in, quadruped, and we'll belly roll. both directions. Tuck the toes, down dog. Lift those hip creases up. We walk the hands back toward the feet, happy squat. Big bend in the knees, lift the heels, and we do that little pivot to the front, cross-ankled forward fold. It's great to elevate the hands here so the spine stays long, and we just shimmy a little bit. Side bending both ways. Uncross the feet, press the ground away, and we'll rise up. Okay, we're gonna stream that, so we'll do it one more time with a couple more add-ons, a little bit more challenge. Reach the arms up. Reach up through the pinkies, get longer in the sides of the body. Hinge forward, starting the same way, right foot back. Land the knee, but not the toes. We rise up into our 90-90, clasp the hands, protract this time, so reach further forward and then up. Now we've got a little extra length to lift the armpits up, but keep the ribs stacked over the pelvis as we side bend both ways. Little shimmy of the ribs, arcing right and left, but we're trying to hold this right hip still, so notice if the right hip is really kind of popping out to the right. Keep that right glute really engaged. Hands to your block or blocks. Externally rotate that left hip, left toes turn out a little bit. We'll start the same way, turning the ribs left. Left arm can reach up or up and over. You have the option to lift off that right knee, make it a full twisted crescent with this left hip externally rotated. You get a little bit of a stretch in that left IT band. Breathe into the left side. Backstroke that left arm. We'll all lift off that right knee. Continue to lift and turn to the side of the mat. Goddess squat. Tighten those pelvic points in. Imaginary broom behind you. Reach the arms out. And we rib shift. That lateral movement of the rib cage without swinging the hips. So hold the hips still. Just try to move the ribs. Getting a little pull on that lower part of the side body, right around the waist. Turn to the back of the mat. We're heading to that quadruped. And this time we're going to flow those movements together. So right toes back. We slide the right toes over to the left. Hip adduction. Right fingers forward. And then we side bend right fingers to the left. From here, right leg out to the right. Adductor rock. Walk your hands to the right. Sit back. Side body stretch for the left side. One more time. Hands under the shoulders. Right toes back. Cross over to the left. Adduction. Right fingers forward. And we reach to the left. Right side body stretch. Back under the shoulder. Right leg out to the right. Adductor position. Walk your hands over toward the right. Sit back. Good, back to quadruped. Instead of belly rolls, we're gonna hover the knees and swivel. Tuck the toes, hover the knees without rounding the back, and let your lower body swivel. So kind of like a down dog swivel, knees and toes are gonna turn right and left, kind of churning in those core muscles. Down dog, let's swivel it here. Shorten your stance, press into the fingers, knees and toes swivel right and left. Arms and shoulders stay strong and stable. From down dog, walk the hands back, happy squat. Belly toward the thighs, spine is long. Lift the heels, pivot to the front for that cross ankle forward fold. Maybe hands come to blocks or one block. Let's add that side bend here, a little shimmy side to side. Hip swings to the shoulder, shoulder to the hip. Now we're gonna rise up, so you can uncross the feet. Rise up, goalpost the arms. We're gonna tap the right toes to the right. Hip is a little bit externally rotated at a diagonal, We side bend right, come back up, tap the toes behind you, side bend left. Come back up, tap the toes, side bend right, tap the toes behind, side bend left. Of course, if you want to amp up the challenge, pick up the foot. Side bend, tap behind, side bend. Let's do one more. Pick it up, side bend, tap behind, side bend. Okay, we're gonna step our right foot back, turn to the right side of the mat. Side lunges, you can keep the spine long, sides of the waist long. A nice option is to just keep the hands right on the sides of the waist. Make sure they're staying long, or make it a little snakier. If the hands can come lower to the thighs or even to the ground, you can kind of do this snaky movement for the side body, getting a little extra movement and mobility in the ribs if that feels nice. Good, turn to the front of the mat for down dog. Just a moment here, press into the fingers, lift the ribs, and we'll walk the feet forward, bent knee forward fold. Press the ground away, rise up. Second side, last time, reach those pinkies up. Hinge forward. Left foot steps back, lower the knee but not the toes. We rise up 90-90, left glute firm. Clasp the hands, protract those shoulder blades forward. Lift up without the ribs arching. Lift up, 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 and we side bend. Shimmying right and left. Feeling those two pelvic points draw in. Getting this nice stretch along the side seams of the body. Hands come to the block or blocks. We externally rotate the right hip. Turn the ribs. Stay here or lift off that left knee. Twisted crescent with the front hip externally rotated. Might get a nice extra stretch here in the hip. Maybe the arm reaches all the way up and over toward the ear. Good, hands come back to the blocks. We turn the foot more parallel. Lift off that left knee. Turn to the side of the mat. Goddess squat. Cinch those pelvic points in as we shift the ribs right and left. This is a great way to get some pull on the tissues of the side body, right in between the ribs and the pelvis. Turn to the back of the mat, quadruped. Now our left leg's gonna be moving. Left toes back, stabilize that right hip. Slide the toes over to the right, left fingers forward, side bend. Slide those fingers to the right. Hand back under the shoulder, left leg comes to the left. Adductor position, hands walk to the left. Sit back, side body stretch. One more time, hands under the shoulders, left toes back, slide over to the right, hip adduction. Left fingers reach forward and side bend over to the right. Left foot slides all the way to the left, adductor position. Hands walk to the left, sit the hips back, side body stretch for the right side. Come back, quadruped. Tuck the toes, hover the knees without rounding your spine. Swivel the knees and toes right and left. Deep core engagement. Continue to lift the hips up, down dog. We'll continue that swivel here. Knees and toes turn right and left. Lift the ribs up toward the body. Feel that stretch through the side body. From down dog, hands walk back toward the feet. Happy squat. Lift the heels, turn to the right, cross ankle forward fold. Let's shimmy here. Freeing up that side body. Maybe it's got a little bit more space or movement available now. We're gonna rise up into those goalpost arms, tapping the left toes, Side bend, come back up, tap behind you, side bend right. Tap the toes, side bend left, tap the toes behind, side bend right. You are welcome to pick up the foot. Make it a more challenging balance. It's a lot of work for the core to side bend while we keep that right hip stable and the pelvis stable. Now we'll step the left foot back, turn to the left, feet are parallel. Hands can come right to the sides of the waist if you want to stay still for your side lunges, or maybe we make it a little snakier, slinking side to side. Whatever feels good for your side lunges. Let's turn to the front of the mat for down dog. Take a moment here. Lift those thigh bones, lift the ribs. We're gonna land the knees into quadruped. Take some lateral flexion here, that same side bending we were just doing. Hip swings to the shoulder, shoulder arcs to the hip, like we're wagging our tail side to side. Really feeling some freedom in the side body. And we'll sit the hips back either toward a child's pose or a puppy pose without sinking the ribs down. So we're almost kind of pushing our hands into the ground to lift the ribs away. And we'll walk the hands over toward the left. Any amount, you can even do right hand on top of the left. Pick up through those front ribs and focus on that right side of the body. Like you could send your breath right into the right side of the rib cage. Walk the hands over to the right, maybe left hand comes on top. Pick up the ribs, almost like you're lifting away from the ground. And then breathe into the left side of the ribs. Bring it back to quadruped, either belly roll or cat-cow. Just slowing the breath down. Let's come onto our backs. You can have block under the head if you'd like. We'll come into a figure four, crossing the right ankle, or left ankle, sorry, over that right knee. Checking that triple S, so back of the skull, shoulder blades, and sacrum are down. We're gonna do arms out, either low V, T, goal post, whatever feels good to open the chest and the front of the shoulders. You can keep that bottom foot, the right foot on the ground, or pick it up without using the hands. And we're just gonna do a tiny little rock to the left side of the pelvis and the right side of the pelvis. This tiny little rock's gonna add a little bit of rotation in the lumbar spine. So you might still feel a little bit of a pull or stretch on those lower side body muscles. Just slow your breath down. Release the feet down, recheck your triple S, and let's switch. Right ankle crosses over, left foot can stay down or come up, and we rock onto the right side of the pelvis. Left side of the pelvis. It's a small rock, small enough that your shoulder blades stay on the ground. So we're not allowing this twist through the whole spine right now, just this lowest part, just around the pelvis. A little bit of rotation. Lower it down. You're welcome to add a block between the knees if that helps you keep the pelvis neutral. We're going to roll onto our left side. So coming into a sideline position. Keep that low back really long so we don't want to be arching or tucking, just nice and neutral. Arms reach over to the left. We're going to open that right arm up and back any amount. Arm can be straight or you can goalpost. And we'll just come in and out of the twist a couple times. Now we're isolating this rotation in the rib cage and not the lower back. This next time we open up that right arm, we're going to stay in our twist. If it feels okay, bring your left hand over to those right ribs. So right on the right side body. And take some breaths where you really think about breathing right into your hand. Inhaling and expanding your breath into the right side of the ribs, into your hand. Creating that space in the side body. And bring that right arm back over, and we will make our way onto the other side. So roll onto your right side. Knees are bent. Arms come over to the right. We open that left arm. Straight or bent, whatever feels best for that left shoulder. Take a couple times just rotating the ribs, holding that low back still. We're going to stay this time as we open that left arm. If it feels okay, right hand comes over to the left side of the rib cage. Maybe eyes are closed. You're going to visualize breathing into your hand. Getting that side to side expansion in the rib cage as you inhale, widening the torso. Come out of your rotation, make your way onto your back or stay on your side. Maybe even transition into a seated position if you'd like. We'll just let the arms rest, whatever position feels the most restful. Relaxing your forehead. Maybe wiggling the jaw around a little bit until it feels soft. Focusing on that deep breath into the rib cage. That side to side expansion. Stay here as long as you have time for today. And whenever you're ready to finish up your practice, send one grateful thought out into the universe.